We're creating about as many jobs as those other metros combined.
So Bend hates to be compared to Boulder.
We could have a whole hour conversation about this. I think it sets us up another kind of foundation.
Participating. I think that's the difference between being a citizen or sitting on the sidelines.
These conversations are brought to you by the Ladd Group, Bend's leading real estate team. Help continue this BendBeat conversation by subscribing, sharing, and leaving us a review. Well, I'm Brian Ladd, and I'm joined here today by Stephanie Betteridge. Thanks for coming today.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure.
Yeah, so we've gotten to know each other primarily through Bend 101, and we've had a lot of fun with that. And the more I got to know you, the more I realized we need to get this on tape. I think you have a lot of interesting perspectives on the city. For those that don't know Stephanie, you're the Chief Innovation Officer and Assistant City Manager for the City of Bend.
There's two of us assistant city managers. I really focus on how we do our work as an organization and how we deliver services to our community.
Okay.
And then my counterpart, Russ Grayson, really focuses on a lot of our city operations.
Let's just start with kind of who you are as a person and what your origin story is and your connection to Bend.
Yeah, great
What brought
question.
you here?
How far back do you want me to go?
Well, some people are here multiple generations. Some people have been here a hot minute. But what brought you to Bend? And tell me a little bit more about who you are as a person.
Yeah,
if
so
you don't mind.
I think we'll go in the Wayback Machine to kind of explain who I am. So I'm a third generation Oregonian. I grew up in Canby in the Willamette Valley. Both of my parents in their early careers were teachers.
Okay.
And then they started a nursery, so tree nursery. So I have a bit of public service through that, family business, so I think that really informed my work ethic.
Yeah.
So I think I always knew that I wanted to be in the public service. I just needed to figure out how I could make those meaningful contributions. So growing up in Canby, time for college, I went south on I-5 to U of O.
Okay.
And got my degree in geography, and somebody may be wondering, what does geography have to do with working in local government?
Yeah, tell me.
So geography is really about the interactions between people, place, and the environment.
Okay.
Sounds like city government?
Yeah.
And when I got my degree in geography, I did a focus on geospatial information. So it was really, how do you take a data-informed look at this interaction between people, place, and the environment?
Yep.
After graduating from U of O, I went and worked for the Bureau of Land Management. So again, applying my geography skills there to help them make some data-informed decisions, and did a lot of mapping. So how do you tell a story in a visual way?
Yeah.
A lot of cartography is just a great way of communication. And so I think that's something that has continued to follow me through my career, is how do you communicate information in ways that resonate with the people who are your audience?
Chief Innovation Officer. What does that mean? What is innovation at the City of Bend?
Yeah, so I think it's really important to clarify that innovation at the City of Bend is not about new shiny objects.
Okay.
Innovation at the City of Bend is really about people, process, and technology, and that we approach innovation through a human-centered or customer-centric approach.
Okay.
So it's really about trying to understand the problem that you're trying to solve.
Yeah.
Engage those who you're solving the problem for in the process, and then making sure that you're delivering value in the end.
Okay.
So it's really that full process. And then it's using data, both quantitative and qualitative, to make sure that you're meeting the objective that you set out to.
Yeah.
And if you're not, that's okay. You just need to pause, figure out why you're not, make adjustments, and move forward.
Yep.
And if you are, then keep rolling.
Well, so it's a pretty advanced approach as opposed to just trying to deliver the basic functions of city government. To take it to the level at which you're operating, I think is pretty amazing for a city of 100,000 people.
It is, and I really credit Eric King's leadership for this. It takes a special kind of leader to create a culture where innovation is the way that you deliver services to your community.
Yeah.
And I will say the needs and expectations of Bend, because we have so many people who are here because they love this community, because they want it to be a great place for people to be.
Yep.
They have high expectations. And we cannot continue to deliver, or we cannot deliver the services that people need and expect if we don't take a fresh approach to things.
Brian Ladd here. I hope you're enjoying the conversation and find this dialogue relevant to really what it means to live and work and play in this amazing community. As Ben's leading real estate team, we take our role seriously in representing both buyers and sellers at the absolute highest standards of our industry. For more information on how we can help, feel free to visit our website at benpropertysource.com or text LADD1, LADD1 to 88,000.
Would you want to focus on specific initiatives or projects or kind of your approach and maybe some solutions that have been impactful?
Yeah, so I think, building off of how we define innovation for the city of Bend.
Yep.
And as we define it, and we're really working to create what we call our culture of curiosity, where you ask a lot of questions.
Okay.
And you really seek to understand, and then you're curious about what solutions can help achieve the benefit that you're looking for, or the solution that you're looking for. And so we do that in two ways. So we have what we call our Spark team, which is a dedicated innovation group I think we now have 4 staff on that team. And they really act as consultants within the organization. So they will go work with departments on really getting to the root cause of a challenge and then coming up with solutions to address that.
Yep.
But we also believe that all of our employees need to be empowered to innovate. And so we're working to really increase our organizational capacity. So we have frequent trainings. In fact, there's one today that's being held. Any employee in the city has the opportunity to attend to learn about what innovation means to us, and then the techniques and the tools that they can use to innovate with their own work. We really believe that people that are doing the work are best situated to improve it because really they know it the best.
As opposed to just top down saying this is the way we're doing it. We're saying, hey, everybody. Are there any specific initiatives that maybe we can kind of drive this home from that Spark team all the way to delivery of services or a different way of delivering those services? Is there something that we could explain just so that people could understand kind of that arc of what was being delivered?
Yeah, so a couple. So kind of a simple example, and I'm looking outside and the snowflakes are flying.
Yeah.
So we have done, we've really focused in on winter operations.
Okay.
So as we know,
Yep.
it snows here, we have ice, and people still need to get to school and to work and to appointments.
Yep.
Move around community. And so we have implemented a program where we have put telematics devices on a lot of our winter operations equipment. So our snowplows, our sanders, our de-icers. And so we can track in real time where they've been and what's been plowed, what's been sanded, what's been de-iced.
Yeah.
We have incorporated that into a dashboard that we have live at our Public Works center. And so when we're doing shift changes, the folks coming on can see what's been
where to pick
what's
up.
been addressed. They know where they need to head. We've recently integrated in BendWorks, so I'll talk about BendWorks in just a second. But it's our community service request system.
Okay.
So people may submit a request to say, this hasn't been plowed, this is icy, this is dangerous. We have staff who are taking phone calls, they enter it in, and then it pops up in the dashboard as well. So if we have our snowplow drivers out, they receive that information. If they're nearby, they'll go there, they'll take care of it, and they know where it's been.
Oh, wow. So high tech for
High tech.
little old Bend.
For little old Bend.
So
it's
tell
funny,
me,
the city of Anchorage, Alaska called us the other day and asked to learn more about our system. So.
Oh, wow. We don't get that much snow here compared to city of or Anchorage, I would assume. I don't know. That's pretty advanced. But let's talk about BendWorks.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What is that's new to me.
Yep. So BendWorks is our one-stop shop for service requests coming in from community for non-emergency issues.
Okay.
So if you want to report a pothole, there might be a street sign that's faded or down. There may be vegetation that's growing over a sidewalk. As city staff, we can't be everywhere. We don't see everything. And so this is an opportunity for community members to submit requests.
Yeah.
There's a mobile app. You can do it through the city's website.
Yep.
And it automatically is routed to the right staff person so that they can quickly address it.
Yeah.
It also shows up on a dashboard that's community facing, so you can see if the request has already been submitted.
Yep.
Once it comes into us, we address the issue, or if we have questions, we can get back to the person who submitted it So we're closing the loop.
Oh, wow. Well, I think that's going to continue to help people feel heard. And you know, I've found that anyone that I've ever spoken with the city, regardless of their role, is open, communicative, and collaborative, and are fighting the good fight with, you know, a very mission-driven effort. And you know, I don't know kind of where that starts and ends, but it's very tangible, and I think that's a interesting, just small example of being open for that. When someone's newer to Bend, what are kind of the common misperceptions or misunderstandings someone may have about this, what's happening in Bend and the role of the city? You know, what's the thing that sometimes maybe frustrating, or, you know, what's a complaint or a frustration that people may have that may be, and they may be misinformed on?
Great question. I think, as you know, it's important to know that the city does not operate parks.
Okay, yes.
Parks is a separate district.
That's a big one.
That's a big one. You know, as we were experiencing winter weather, property owners are responsible for maintaining their sidewalk.
Yeah. No one likes to do that.
No.
It's a big ask.
It is a big ask.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think that, right, we're all responsible for maintaining a safe transportation for everybody around the city, and that's a key role that community members play in that.
So, as Chief Innovation Officer, the world is innovating quickly. Brian Niles, who's our cinematographer who's doing this for us, we were just talking about ChatGPT and how it's getting its fingers in everything that we're doing already. You know, how are you harnessing the changes in technology and AI over at the city?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think as a government entity, and really we have to maintain the public's trust and be responsible about how we approach technology, but do so in a way that we're not on the bleeding edge, but we're not waiting for others to go past us. And so it's really striking that balance. Around generative AI, we see a lot of opportunity, and so we are approaching it in a thoughtful way that's transparent, that we're engaging a broad set of stakeholders in that, but we're not afraid to try it. So we have, in our very collaborative way, which is the way the city rolls, we have a cross-functional working group. So every department's represented, and we're talking about how does your department, maybe how are you starting to use generative AI? How do you envision using it 3 to 5 years from now? We have worked together to set some guidelines. A lot of cities have said, we're not going there. You cannot use generative AI. We think that we need to use it, but doing so in a responsible way. So we have guidelines that say what platforms you can use. If you do use it, you have to make sure that you're acknowledging that it's all part of public records. We're using Copilot, which is part of the Microsoft platform, because it all stays contained within our system. So if I'm asking Copilot, please tell me 5 ways that we can better inform community members about shoveling their sidewalk when it snows, that stays within our tenant, and that's not something that goes out into the big world of web. So we want to make sure that we are not inadvertently exposing any critical information or any personal information into the broader AI space, that we're keeping that contained in a really thoughtful and responsible way. But also we're learning from each other. So how is somebody in police using generative AI? How is somebody in the city manager's doing it? Office doing it? How's somebody in communications? Great example in communications, we're doing a big project around improving our website. It's the face of the city. Most people's first and only interaction is with the city's website. We really want to make sure that we're delivering timely information in a way that's understandable, and that people can find the information they're looking for and complete their business with the city, right? I want a permit. I want to sign up for new water services. I want to know how I can contact the mayor. So we're revamping the pages. We're making sure that we're providing the information that somebody needs, and we're getting rid of the information that somebody doesn't. And it's written in a way that's easy to understand. So we're taking the edited content, we're running it through generative AI and say, make sure that this is written in inclusive language, it's written in 8th grade reading level,
Yep.
A couple other factors, and then we have actual people who are reviewing that. But we think it's going to save us about a half hour to an hour per page, which is again, generative AI, I think, has so much opportunity in getting rid of some of the basic administrative work so that we can focus on the things that really take people.
Well, I love that. And I think what you were alluding to and talking about is getting rid of the miscommunication and pain points and the points of friction in connecting with the citizens of Bend. I think that from my experience, the people that are, such as yourself, that are fighting the good fight and trying to make Bend a better place are all doing it for the right reason. And that when people get particularly upset about whether it's a delivery of a service or whether it's the growth plans and, the city's really just following the state, the state goals for growth and whatnot. But that usually once they have communication with the people that are at the core of that subject, usually most of their fears are resolved. Definitely the city's open for that input, but I think that's interesting how you're using AI to better connect, those concerns with the city. So that's super exciting. What are ways that citizens can get more involved with the city? If there's someone that says, hey, the city doesn't represent my needs and my desires, I want to be heard, what would be the best way for them to connect with you on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And there are a number of different ways to connect with the city, I think, depending on your interests, your time, and what's meaningful to you. So as Eric will always say at the Bend 101, it's just staying informed. One of the new communication vehicles that I really like, the council does a monthly video recap of what they discussed and decided on during that month. So it's on the city's website. It's usually less than 5 minutes. Great way to get a recap of what they've been talking about.
Yeah, that's wonderful, because not everyone can go to city council meetings and dedicate their evenings away from their children's or responsibilities. Okay, didn't know that was there.
We have newsletters. We have our council advisory bodies. There's
How many advisory bodies are there? This is the different ways for people to get in, sit on a panel, give their input to the city, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, there's dozens, right?
There's probably a dozen-ish
okay.
that range from our Human Rights and Equity Commission to the Planning Commission to affordable housing. So a really wide variety of ways to be engaged depending on your interest and expertise as well. We want to make sure that we are bringing expertise to the table, because these advisory bodies advise council and provide recommendations to them. And
kind of the flow of responsibility is those advisory bodies are advising council as planners are advising council, and then really policy is driven from city council, correct? Which is an elected board.
Correct. I think one of the misconceptions about the city is the form of government that we have. So we have a council manager form of government. So our mayor and council are our elected body. They create policy. We have a city manager. So we have essentially a professional administrator who is responsible for the daily operations of the city of Bend. Okay, so are there any particular pain points right now that the city's really coming to grips with that you're grappling with on a daily basis? Yes, I think that's the short answer. I think the longer answer is I think the pain points the city is grappling with are the pain points that many in our community are experiencing every day. It's about, I would say our biggest challenge is around housing. So how do we have housing that is affordable to everyone? And it looks different to different people. And we've seen through some of the policy changes that council's made that we are increasing the diversity of housing types. We've now had a shift when it comes to new housing. It used to be primarily single family. It's now multifamily is the sort of the dominant housing types that are going through our permitting processes and being built. It's affordability of living in Bend, again, tying back to housing. It's making sure that we are a welcoming and inclusive community where people feel that they belong. Transportation has and will always, I think, be a priority topic in Bend, and then public safety. So I think as we talk through these are and the environment and climate. So I think a lot of these are touching on council goals.
Yes.
Great opportunity for those who want to get involved. Council sets their goals every 2 years. It aligns with our budget process.
Okay.
That process is kicking off right now, actually. So
Yeah.
there will be a statistically valid community survey that's done every 2 years.
Okay.
There's also an opportunity, if you're not part of the sample set for the survey, to go to the city's website and provide input on what are your priorities, what's important to you as a community member. All of the advisory bodies share their priorities with council in a summit that will be held in January. There will be some community opportunities where our electeds will be out in community, where you can come talk to them one-on-one on what's on your mind, what are some challenges and opportunities that you see as a community member.
Yep.
And then council takes all of this input and they create their goals for the next 2 years. And that's really what drives the priorities of the city.
Well, for those that may have frustrations, said the city doesn't know what they're doing, they're not listening, I think hopefully this conversation will shed some light on how everything you've talked about today is listening and creating conduits for conversation and understanding for what the city wants and needs, and then how to deliver that back to them. And it's, from my experience, it's very authentic from everyone that I've met over at the city. That you all seem very aligned on that mission. And as we kind of get near the end of this, please let me know if there's any other subjects you want to talk about. But as we kind of circle the end of this, let's talk about roundabouts.
Roundabouts. Who doesn't love talking about roundabouts?
We
We're
talk about
Bend.
roundabouts a lot. But we had an interesting aside before we started about roundabouts. But let's get back to that.
Yeah, so I think everybody knows that we're a roundabout first community.
And what does a roundabout first community mean? Besides the fact that all of our front right tires wear out soonest.
Great point.
Rotate your tires if you live in Bend.
Roundabout first means that we prioritize the use of roundabouts over traffic signals.
Okay.
Simple.
Why so?
They're safer.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm sure that there are a lot of other reasons that are escaping me right now. But
they're more efficient, right?
Right.
They keep traffic moving.
They keep traffic moving.
Yep.
It keeps the flow. And we have about 50 roundabouts in Bend, over 50. But what people may not know about roundabouts is that they are a way that we make art more accessible in our community. So there is an incredible partnership between the Bend Foundation, Art in Public Places, and the City of Bend, where the Bend Foundation donates art that is in our roundabouts, and then the city is the one that maintains them over time. We have over 25 pieces in roundabouts.
And some big, beautiful pieces at that.
Some big, beautiful pieces. There's the new one that just went in on Columbia and Colorado.
Okay.
And then there's one that will go in at 15th and Knott.
Okay.
And that one it's aligned with Caldera, so it's the wolf pack is what the piece is going to be. But it's
how exciting!
Yeah, it's really exciting that our community is invested in making sure that everybody has access to art, and it's part of our daily life. You don't have to go to a museum. You don't have to pay to see it. It's just something that's sprinkled throughout community.
I think that's wonderful. And for those that are casually listening and don't understand what the Bend Foundation is, it isn't the City of Bend is spending money on this artwork. It's that it's in collaboration from the Bend Foundation.
Correct.
And they're the ones providing the art for you to place in your roundabouts. Looking ahead, is there any one particular initiative or progress that has been made with the city that makes you most excited? Is there anything that really just kind of says, oh, we did that, or this is exciting, or something that you're on in the process of onboarding right now?
Yeah, I think the way that we're using data to tell the story and to, I think, know whether the work that we're doing is achieving the outcomes that we expect.
Yep.
And so I would invite everybody to visit it's called the Data Hub. It's on the website.
Okay.
We have metrics and performance indicators tied to a lot of our council goals.
Yeah.
So you can see how many housing units have been built. You can see what our pavement condition index is. You can see how many shelter beds are now available to community members who need them.
Wow.
What is our response times for fire and emergency services? What do the calls for service look like for the Bend Police Department? how are we using alternative responses to meet the needs of someone who needs assistance. So again, it's how do we tell the story through data?
Yep.
So what is the current permitting processing times? So we're really aiming to tell a story and provide transparency.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, this is how public funds are being spent.
Yeah.
And so this is the outcome that we're achieving on the behalf of our community.
Well, I think this was a very unique take on discussing what Bend is and what Bend is doing. And it was eye-opening for me on how impactful, data can be on telling the story and the hard work that's being done at the City of Bend. So
Thanks for helping us tell the story. The City of Bend, as an organization, is made up of people who really care about this community, that are invested, and who want to see this be a place where everyone can live and thrive. And I hope that we will continue to move that forward.
Well, I couldn't say it any better. I'm just going to close with saying how grateful I am for you sharing your time with me, for the work that you're doing. And please pass it along to everyone at the City of Bend that we are indebted for all the great work and effort and heart that's being put in. So thank you for your time today, and I appreciate all the hard work you're doing.
Thank you. It's absolutely my pleasure.